What up, world? It's your boy Al, aka All the Way Live. Um, I'm gonna be commenting briefly on the debates that went on tonight on CBS. My thoughts on those debates. My thoughts on the debates is pretty simple. It was a fucking disgrace. I mean, on Veterans Day weekend, you give the only veteran on stage 89 seconds. Really, out of an entire fucking hour, you give the only veteran on Veterans Day weekend 89 seconds. What more can you say about it? I mean, it was fucking disgraceful. It was a part of my language, you know what I'm saying? But it was ridiculous to see. Um, it wasn't even a debate, really. You know what I mean? I mean, you got about five candidates on stage saying the same thing, same exact thing. Um, they got different approaches towards doing the same thing, but in the end, it's really the same fucking thing. Attacking Iran, keeping our troops involved overseas in the Middle East for an extended period of time, um, blah blah blah, bashing the president. Obama is bad. Obama is the devil. Da, da, da. We get it. We get it. You don't like Obama. I don't like Obama either. You know what I mean? But as far as foreign policy goes, man, this is something that is so important. And this isn't just a video that's going to defend Ron Paul's position. This is a video that I want to make to the average American citizen, and it's almost a plea for you to stop being so complacent and stop neglecting your duty as an American citizen to protect the soldiers that are willing to put their lives on the line. You know what I'm saying? In the end, when it all counts. I mean, the idea that we can be so negligent uh, in our own foreign policy is it's ridiculous, man. You know what I mean? Like, we can expect our soldiers to sacrifice their lives, the ultimate sacrifice. We expect that. We expect that of them, you know? But we can't even give them the courtesy of paying attention to what our politicians are doing and how they're using our soldiers in a global chess game. And basically, it has to do with gaining influence in foreign lands. You know, it has to do with us taking over resources of other countries. You know what I mean? Why are we sitting back and allowing this to happen? Why are we sitting back and allowing our soldiers to be used as pawns? You know what I'm saying? In a global chess game. You know what I mean? You look at the people who are in charge of our foreign policy, man. I mean, what they've done to our troops over this past decade is unforgivable. And not just to our troops, but I mean to the people around the world. You know, the things that they're asking our troops to do is totally unforgivable. And then when our troops come home, they have one of the highest unemployment rates in the country out of any other demographic. You know what I mean? It's this idea that, you know, all these people want to be involved with the troops and say that they support the troops, and they want to put stickers on the backs of their cars saying support the troops. But when it comes down to actually having to pay attention to make sure we're not putting our troops in harm's way for no reason, it's almost like you're asking them to give you their fucking liver. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, my thing is my father. My father was a military veteran. He's a military veteran. He retired 27 years from the U.S. Army. You know what I mean? And he was the one who talked to me about foreign policy and about what we do outside of this country and how we're never fighting for the reasons that they're telling us on TV. He told me firsthand, you know what I mean? And it's this idea that they're recruiting our kids to fight for freedom and liberty. And that's why they join the military, because they want a sense of honor and a sense of serving their country. And we allow our politicians to turn around and send them halfway around the world for special interest groups, while those same politicians simultaneously are sitting in an office in Washington, D.C., voting to strip the average American of their freedom and of their liberty through legislation like the Patriot Act. You know, I mean, it's quite the conundrum, really. You know what I mean? And it can only be done on such a large scale that it's been done to us today by a large portion of our population not giving a shit, not really paying attention. I mean, obviously tomorrow you're not going to hear anything on the news about how the only veteran on the stage at the CBS debate was given 89 seconds. You're not going to hear that, you know what I mean? But it's also because the average American doesn't really give a shit, you know what I mean? Doesn't really care. You know, we like to say we care about the troops and we support the troops, but we're so willing to send them in harm's way for nothing, you know what I mean? Like, and then you have some citizens who like to criticize the actions of of the troops, you know what I'm saying? Because of, you know, obviously there's collateral damage and shit, like, you know what I mean, like where innocent people get killed, you know what I'm saying? But it's only because from the very beginning the average American citizen didn't pay attention, and the damage is done once you send the soldiers overseas, because they're not fighting. Once they get in the sands, they're not fighting for anything other than the person standing next to them, you know what I mean? They're trying to make sure everybody they came with comes home with them, you know what I mean? And they're gonna do whatever it takes to get back home. But I mean, you know, and in a way, it doesn't justify killing, you know, kids in foreign lands and shit like that. It doesn't justify it. But I mean, you got to understand how deep of an issue foreign policy is, and you got to understand why Ron Paul gets the most support from active duty military, because he's not willing to make them fight for nothing. He's not willing to have them sacrifice their life in an open-ended war that doesn't have any clarification of what victory is. I mean, we went into Afghanistan to get Osama bin Laden. We got him back in May. Why are we still there? You know what I mean? And the people who are willing to send our troops overseas for no reason, they can come up with a million reasons to keep them there. You know what I mean? And right now the reason is, well, we want to make sure the Afghan people can support themselves and secure their own borders, so we're gonna have to keep 100,000 of our kids over there. I mean, when is the American people going to wake up? I mean, this is something that's been going on for decades. You know what I mean? Keeping us in open-ended, undeclared, unconstitutional, illegal wars. You know what I mean? And then you got the media who's complicit by keeping the one candidate who has different ideas on foreign policy and who happens to actually be a veteran. You keep him from answering any questions by not asking him any questions. You know what I mean? Instead, you ask the slick-talking politician and Mitt Romney, who's never served as a soldier, who's never fought in the front lines, you know what I mean? He's never been there, so how can you expect him to competently run a military as a commander-in-chief? I mean, look what we got out of Barack Obama, you know what I mean? He was a fucking community organizer, and now he's in control of the largest military on the planet, you know what I mean? And he's doing a horrible fucking job. And we're gonna get the same thing if we elect somebody like Mitt Romney or Rick Perry or even Herman Cain, you know what I mean? Why not have some dignity for the troops, and elect somebody who has a credible record, you know what I mean, and who always fights for the troops. I mean, Ron Paul's been known to be a soldier's best friend, a veteran's best friend, you know what I mean, because he'll never vote for anything that diminishes the benefits of a soldier, you know what I mean. He'll never vote in favor of sending them to a foreign land if there's no reason for us to be there, you know what I mean. And there's a reason why he has more support from all of the active duty military members than every other candidate combined, you know what I mean. So I mean, as far as this debate goes, it was fucking ridiculous. It was a sham. Next time foreign policy comes up, I'd like to hear Ron Paul shed some light on Robert Pape's study, who he's a professor from the University of Chicago, who did the only study that looked at the motivation of suicide terrorism. And I mean, that study is so relevant in the realm of foreign policy, and it validates all of Ron Paul's positions. So this is my thoughts on the whole debate, on the complacency of the American people, and just the blatant hypocrisy. You know what I mean? It's getting to a point where it's quite sickening, I must say. But you know, a lot of people are making headway and converting people into listening to Ron Paul's message. So hopefully we can keep it up. Hopefully we can keep it positive. And everybody out there, don't get discouraged, because we got a dog in the fight, and we got to fight for that dog, that being Ron Paul, you know what I mean? So freedom, liberty. So we got 2012, get some.